or you would just go ahead with me and you can watch a Nigerian match later, just like me. All right. So, like I said, today we'll be doing 2 sessions, but we'll be starting with implementing access management for Azure resources. Let me share the link to this so that when you have time, you can also learn from it. So if I'm very fast, let me know, because I know I only have 1 hour for each session. So I will try to make sure I try to catch up with the time. So if I'm fast, let me know. And if you have questions, I'll appreciate the question at the end of the session. But if you feel you forget the question, feel free to raise your hand and we'll see how we'll go about it. So we'll continue with authorization. Authentication is already validating and trying to sign into the Azure portal or to the resource. Now you already have access to the resource. That means you can authenticate and you meet another gateway or security gateway, which is authorization. Now you are in, but what can you access within this same application platform or solution or whatever you find yourself in? Because you can be limited. Security is there, authentication is there, which you need to validate before you get in. But now you are in, and that is where authorization comes into place, where you will now be assigned access to some segmented part of the application or part of the solution that you're accessing or part of the resource you're accessing. Maybe your permission scope does not warrant you or allow you to have boundless access or global access to that resource, since you may not be the global admin or you may not be the admin. In the cloud, you'll be hearing this word, global admin. There's difference between global admin and several other admins. There are several other admin roles within the Microsoft cloud space, but global admin is the hierarchy. It can do everything within the entire Microsoft Entra ID or Azure space. But there are other admins such as access admin, user access admin, application admin, application developer admin, password reset admin or password something admin. I think there are a lot of admin, compliance admin. All these, they have specific, all these admins, sub-admins, they have specific tasks or specific administrative roles they can do. They can't do the global administrative role, but they can do a specific administrative role that is linked to that name of the admin. But global admin can do everything. So welcome to this session where we'll be going through the implementing access management or access control. What is access management? What is access control? We'll be discussing that briefly. Our agenda for today is for us to understand how to configure access management, the basics, because we may not have enough time, so we'll go through the basics. But it's something that when you are doing every day as an admin, which, trust me, as an admin, this is what you do every day, assigning access, removing access. This is what you do. So it's a very common or very commonly used administrative task. That is access control, where you assign access to resources, access to virtual machines or servers, access to devices, access to applications or SaaS or platforms. And you may, once someone leaves or someone change a role or no longer need that role or permission, you now take it out. You remove that permission. This is called access control or access management. So that's what we'll be discussing today, access management to Azure resources within the Entra ID Admin Center. If you have access to my screen, you will definitely see that I already opened my Entra ID Admin Center, which is entra.microsoft.com. And guys, can you please mute your mic? Thank you very much. So, or you go through portal.azure.com. That is another, this is Microsoft Azure portal where you can also administer access to Azure resources. But remember, we are discussing with this within the Microsoft Entra ID space, which is the Entra ID Admin Center space. As you can see, Microsoft Entra ID Admin Center. So we'll be focusing from here. Now, what the agenda of today is how we can understand how to configure access management within the Azure resources. We'll also be understanding Azure RBAC, that is role-based access controls. We'll be going through some built-in rules or RBACs That is the role-based access control. Some built-in rules. You can configure your own custom role. Maybe you don't want to give somebody, maybe you need someone to have only view and be able to do some few tasks, not everything. Then you feel that the reader role, that's one of the built-in role called a reader role, is not enough, because reader role limits the person to only view. He can only view the resources within the scope you provided for him, but he could not be able to maybe start the machine or open some, do some administrative tasks, or do some things that you may want him to do, some additional tasks on top of the viewing. Now, in this case, then you just go ahead and create a custom role, assign some scope and then permissions, then grant the custom role to the user or to the service principal. That's why I did. So that custom roles are roles that you created yourself, and you assign them scopes and roles and permissions, and you customize them, meaning a role that you can customize yourself. You created it yourself and it's customized. That's how you just take understand custom roles. Manage identities. We already discussed this. One of the identities from users groups, manage identities, which these are identities that we can assign to devices, to not only persons, but to machines, to applications. You may assign a permission to your own application, maybe during automation. You want that application maybe at midnight to run some scripts for you, or to have some access to a certain resource or database. You assign within the Microsoft Cloud space, we have what we call managed identities, which I think last time I told you, we have two managed identities: user assigned managed identity and system assigned managed identity. We'll go through that briefly as well. We'll see permissions and access control within Azure Key Vault. We already know what a Key Vault is. That's where you manage your secrets, keys, secret keys, certificates, and I think, yeah, those are it. Secret keys and certificates. Yeah, we know our website, our application make use of certificate for authentication. So how do you manage those certificates? Meaning, where do you store them, and where do you assign access to application and users that should access those certificates and keys and secret, or configuration? What do you call it? Config. So you store and protect these keys, these secrets, and these configurations in Azure Key Vault. So you can also do access control within the Azure Key Vault. In fact, access control can be done on all Azure resources. You can go to your virtual machine. Within the scope of that virtual machine, you can assign users that should be able to assign that machine. Maybe a storage account, you can assign permission within the scope of that storage account. Or you can even give a storage account itself permission to your machine. That storage account will now be able to communicate to your machine and maybe be able to collect and store some diagnostic logs, some system logs, some event logs will be now pushed, or even DB logs or some database or files can be pushed to the storage account. But you can only do that by configuring access control within the storage account, so that you now say, okay, I am giving this storage account access to this permission, permission to this storage account, so that it can pull this, or it can communicate traffic flow. That's just all about access management, access control, and we'll see how we go about it, how it is done within the Microsoft Cloud space. We'll also be discussing best practices, and we'll also go through question and answer at the end. I forget to add it as part of the agenda, but no worries. I'll update the slide after the session. So I already mentioned the agenda, and it's somehow similar to our learning objectives, where we'll be understanding Azure RBACs. RBAC stands for role-based access control. Since we are discussing access management today to Azure resources, we'll also go through how to assign the built-in roles. Microsoft has already built more than 100 or 200 roles, built-in roles. So we'll see all those roles, from the administrative to the contributors to the owner roles to the admins to the Azure Storage viewer, Azure Storage contributor. We'll all see all those built-in roles Microsoft has already built in for you. Now, we'll also go through custom roles. As I mentioned, that custom roles, how to create custom roles and assign them to a user or to a system or device or service principal. We'll also go through managed identities, and we'll also see how to secure a key vault or provide secure access to a key vault. So what is access management? As we can see on my screen, it is how we control. Control means how the measures we put in place on who can access what boundary someone or a service or resource can access within your resources. Remember, when we are talking about identity, we're not talking about a person. We are talking about everything, every attack surface, every endpoint, every entity, a person, a group, a service, a device, an application. So nothing is left within the new identity security. Everything is now same. It's been treated as an entity and will be given an identity. And whatever action that entity has done or that identity has done will now be logged for you for audit trail of audit review. So access management is the way or how the process in which we put controls or measures in place to assign permission to who can access this resource or who can access this parameter, who can go to this network, who cannot go outside this network, who can access this, who cannot access this. That is just all about access control in plain and layman English. Who can do what within your environment? What permission you limit them to? Following the principle of zero trust, we assign limited access based on what that person needed for his job or for his task. If he needs more, then you go ahead and review and see what do I need to add to him. That's why if you feel that contributor role is too much or owner role is too much, then go ahead and create a custom role. Then assign specific permission within that custom role, specific scope, specific permissions, assign them, and boom, that person will only be able to do what you want him to do. You can't go beyond it, and you won't be able to do more things because you have contained the damage that can be done. So that's all about access control, how to assign those control. It is based on authorization, not authentication. I already mentioned this earlier. And how we can enforce it using the Azure RBAC. That's what we'll be discussing here. How we can enforce, that is how we can configure and grant that access control or grant access to the user, to the device, to the application, to the service principal. All we'll be doing is all about the access management or access control. Now, we have been saying RBAC. What does an RBAC have? When you are assigning the RBAC, that is the permission, the permission, let's say the permission, the scope. An RBAC just stands for the permission we are assigning to those application users or whatever. So let's say to the identities. And what are the constituents that constitute an RBAC? When you open an RBAC in Azure, what does it have? It has the security principal. That is the user. What does he do? What is it called? A reader? Is it called an owner? Is it called a reader? Is it called an admin? Is it called a user access manager? Is it called a password admin? User access admin? Compliance admin? Application developer admin? Application developer reader? So all this, they have scope, and all these are what we call the security principle. Now, the role definition is what defines the permission on where the user should be able to go and what he should be able to do. The scope is limiting what he can access, is what the resources he should be able to access is the scope. Are you limiting that service principal to only access virtual machines? Are you limiting him to only access resource group? Maybe even the resource group, only a specific named resource group? Are you limiting that user to only access a particular subscription? Maybe in your organization, you have 10 subscriptions, 10 Azure subscriptions, and you are limiting him to only one subscription. And that subscription may not even be the production subscription. It may be the QA subscription. It may be the developer subscription. That's the dev subscription. Maybe the person is a developer, senior Java developer. So you don't give him access to production. No, you give him access to the dev subscription, the Azure dev subscription. He does everything, all the testing, all the push, all the whatever the dev wants to do. Let them do it within the dev environment. So you are only limiting his scope of permission to the dev subscription, or you are limiting the scope of. But if you are maybe you are a small organization that you have everything, all your resources, the production, the dev, the QA, the test, all in one subscription, but you now segment them based on resource group, production resource group, dev resource group, that's for the developers. UAT resource group, that's for the QAs and the testers. Then you make sure when you are assigning the permission to that dev guy, you only assign the scope to him. You are scoping him to only be able to access the dev resource group. The only person that should be able to access the production resource group are the persons that should be able to push the pipeline or whatever to the production. Only those granted access to production or be able to push changes or release changes to production should be granted access to production subscription or production resource group or to the production scope. That's, I believe you understand what I'm trying to say about scope. You understand scope is just limiting the boundary or parameter. That's just it. I don't want to ask any question because I don't want to start having friction here. So let's push forward first. I will ask if we have halfway on this slide. I'll ask if we have any questions that will need clarification. So we spoke about built-in Azure roles. There are plenty, like I said, we have like up to 100 built-in Azure roles, but the most popular common ones are owner role. Yeah, it is like an admin. An owner role have full access to Azure resources. If you grant anyone owner role, in fact, best practice only allows you, best practice is to only have three admins or 3 senior manager or 3 senior engineers should have access, have owner role granted to them on the Azure. Now, if there's a need for more than 3, just create a group, add them to add those users that need the owner role to the group, and then assign the owner role to the group. So whoever is part of that group will not immediately inherit the owner role. You don't need to assign it to individual entities or identities. So best practice is when you're assigning all these RBACs, owner, contributor, reader, contributor, and owner. Contributor is like the intermediate. He should be able to create some resources within the scope you granted him. If you grant him permission within the a resource group, then he will be able to create resources within that resource group. If you grant him contributor access to your subscription at the subscription level, he is going to be able to create any kind of resources within the Azure subscription that you grant him. If you not grant him contributor role within the management group, that is the hierarchy in Azure. There is management group at the highest, then followed by subscription, then followed by resource group, then followed by the resource itself. What are the resources? Virtual machine, storage, key vaults, AKS services or Azure Kubernetes services. All these are resources. You can go to each individual resource and assign permission. If I go to a specific resource and assign permission, you are going to be able to do only those actions that are permission within that resource. That is called scoping. Now, owner role have full access, and you can grant it within the subscription. You can also grant it within the resource group, but you can't grant owner role within I think you can't grant owner role within a particular resource, but we'll see about that. I haven't tried that because all the time I've been granting access role to people or to myself. I've been granting it at the subscription level or at the resource. No, I haven't even granted at the resource group, to be fair, to be honest. So we'll test that and see, but hopefully we have time. Now, contributor role, like I said, he's just like owner role, but he could not assign permission to someone. So if you are granted contributor role in any Azure resource, remember, you will not be able to grant permission to any other user or permission or any user, application, device, or whatever. But you can be able to create, yes, you can view all resources within the scope you are assigned to assign the permission, but you won't be able to grant access to someone or to an application or to a device. That is where owner role is above that contributor. Now, reader role is below contributor. He can only view the resources. Yes, he can see them. But when he tried to create or to try to stop the machine, it's not going to work. It's going to tell him, you do not have permission to stop this machine. You do not have permission to start this machine. That's what a reader role will see. But a contributor role should be able to do all that. The only thing a contributor role cannot do is grant access, to grant other permissions to other users, no. But owner role can do it. So these are the differences between this most basic one. Now, the fourth one is user access admin. To be honest, user access admin is also a built-in role within the Entra ID space, not within the Azure roles. But Microsoft has tried to make sure it is it has become like a hybrid role that you can find it in the Entra ID roles. You know, Entra ID has its own roles. Then you can also find it in the Azure roles. So it's all about granting users access, actually. Granting users access, resetting their password. I think that's what is this all about, or inviting users to have access to have access to your Azure resources or to your Entra ID space. Let me bold this so that we know these are the 4 roles, but they are the most common 4 common roles you can see. Built-in roles, but custom roles are the one we create ourselves, and we'll see how we can go about that. Now, that's about the built-in roles, but we have plenty more built-in roles. And if after this session or this after all this class or session, and you still have questions about the built-in roles, or about granting them or creating custom roles, don't feel free to drop questions within the within our group. What do you call it? The WhatsApp group. Drop questions, and we are plenty there to answer you, including myself. So I was talking about the scopes, and it seems I was faster than my slide. So management group is here, which is the highest scope, and below it we have subscriptions, and below subscription we have resource group. That means if I grant you access to a specific resource group, you should not be able to access other resource groups that are under this subscription or outside or under any other subscription we have. Now, if you are granted access to a specific subscription, meaning if we have more than one subscription, you should only be able to access only resources within only this subscription that we granted you access. So these are the scope of RBAC in Azure. If we are granted access within a resource, what are the resources? Resources are maybe a VM, a storage account, a key vault, and etc. There are a lot of resources. I will show you within Azure. We have a lot of resources. Look, all these are resources. I can come to app service and grant you access. I can come to function app here and grant you access. This is a web app, function app, sorry, a function app. So like a function that can trigger your automation or to start at a specific time, or when a specific condition is met, you should trigger a certain script to run. That's what a function app does. Then we have SQL. This is a managed SQL built in by Microsoft. That's what we mean by manage is something you don't need the infrastructure. Microsoft manage the servers for you. All you need is just go ahead and access this one. So it's a SaaS. That is a software as a service for you. This is, oh my, I click on Cosmos. It's also a DB, but it's a we know Cosmos is a non-SQL DB. That is unstructured DB. So all this, I can grant you access at the virtual machine. All these are resources. That's what we mean by resources. Virtual machine, Cosmos DB, Azure SQL DB, Azure Function App, Azure App Service. This is the web where you can push your web app and it will run your website for you or application for you. This is scope of resource group. So resource group is higher, is like a logical container that can store any of your resources. If we come to my resource group, for example, look at, I have all this resource group that I created since 2018. I call this one all resource group. And if I go into, let's use my Ansible lab resource group. What do I have here? Look, I have all this. Some of them are disk. Some of them are my network, virtual network. Some of them are my virtual machine network security groups, virtual machine. All these are resources, especially the virtual machine is the parent resource. All these other public IP disk, they are child resources to my machine, meaning they are attached to my machine. So if I want to grant scope, I can grant them you access at the resource group level under here, access control. Can you see it? At the access control, I can give you permission within to this resource group, and everything under this resource group, you have access to it. That is the scope. Now, if I don't want you to have access to everything under this resource group, I will now go to that specific resource. Maybe this, let's go to control, my control machine. I can give you access to my control machine. I'll click to the machine. On the machine now, we're on the control machine. I named my machine called control. I named this machine control. That is the command and control center where I can push the changes that will now replicate down to my nodes. This is like a master server or a master machine. When I push the Ansible playbook, it will now push the configurations that I push down to. Forget about all that. Let's just discuss the scope here. Now, access control. I can grant you the permission by clicking access control on the machine, and now I can grant you access by clicking on add role assignment. Now I can now create either my custom role, or I can assign you built-in roles. Look at built-in role. Number one, reader, advisor review, another built-in role. Like I said, Microsoft has more than 200 built-in roles. Look at them. So you can review the ones. Some of them are specific. What am I saying? Microsoft said they have 451 built-in roles here at the scope of a resource. This is at the scope of a resource because we are on the machine, right? Yeah, we are on the machine because we are on control. Control is my machine. I can assign, let's see if I can assign contributor on the scope because we mentioned that. Let's see if there's limitation. Contributor. No. Yeah, there's no contributor, like the general contributor, no, but you can have like automation contributor, auto action contributor, application insight contributor. These are like specific contributor roles, but there is contributor at the subscription level. That contributor can do a lot of things within the scope of the subscription. So that's why maybe at the scope of the resource, like virtual machine, storage account, you won't get the general contributor role, but you will get the specific contributor role. So that is verified for us. But the reader role is there, which I think is the first role, built-in role I saw here. Yeah, reader role at the scope of this machine. This reader role will allow you to be able to see the machine, see some properties of the machine, but you won't be able to stop the machine. You won't be able to start the machine. You won't be able to do some administrative tasks to the machine or on the machine. That is just the limitation of at the scope and at the service principal. Now, let's continue with our slide because I know we don't have 2 hours, the usual 2 hours. So I hope we all have some understanding of the scope of RBAC. That's the role-based access controls. So we'll be seeing how do you assign Azure roles. You can assign it at those scopes, like at those 4 scopes. You can assign it at the management group, at the subscription level. You can assign it at the resource group level, and you can also assign it at the resource level. Now, how do you go about assigning it? The first step is to go to that subscription, or to go to that management group, or go to the resource itself. And I already demonstrated for you for the machine. Now, let me demonstrate for you for the management group and the subscription as well. But I already demonstrated for resource group and for the machine itself. At the resource group, when you go to the resource, when you either search the name of the resource group or just search for resource group, come to the resource group, and then assign under access control, you assign. Now you click on add at the top. Now you say add role assignment. Or if it is custom role, we want to add, meaning we want to create our own customized role, we click on add custom role. I'm killing 1 bird or 2 birds with 1 stone at the same time because we'll have to also go through the custom role assignment. But don't worry, since we want to save on time, this is how you go about it. It's the same. You either assign the role or custom role if you are creating a custom role. If you're not creating a custom role, just go with add role assignment so that you can assign a built-in role that Microsoft already has designed. And we saw that Microsoft has more than 451 built-in roles. It's left for you to choose which one you want to assign to that user so that he should be able to achieve his own task without going beyond what he should be able to do or say or do. Now, this is at the resource group level. And at the resource level, if you want to assign it at the resource level, just go to the resource group itself. Go to the resources under the resource group. Let's go to overview. These are the resources. Maybe I want to assign permission to node 1. That's one of my machines. I'll come to the machine itself, click on the machine, come to the machine, click on access control, then assign the role here at this level. You can see at the resource level, we do not have custom role assignment, but at the resource group, at the subscription, and at the management group, you can create custom roles, but you cannot create custom role at the resource level. We can see it there. We can see that under the drop down here on the machine, or that is on the resource on the machine. We can see custom role. We can see add role assignment, which is it will now give us access to all the built-in roles. So that is also verified. In case it comes in your question somehow, you should be able to know that. Yeah, at the resource level, you cannot assign custom role. All right, so let's go to subscription and management group. Let's start with management group. So if you want to assign a role at the management group, search for management group, management groups. Like I said, management is the highest hierarchy of resource or scope, down to followed by subscription, then followed by resource group, then so what does management group have? Management group has list of your Koroma, please hold on. Management group has list of your subscriptions. Like I said, in some organization you find that you have 20 subscriptions. Some organization that I work with, not that I work for them, but I did a project for them. They have like 20 subscriptions, and based on the work I want to do for them, they have to give me access to all those 20 subscriptions. Now, they may not give me access to all the 20 because there are some of those subscriptions we are disabled, or some we are just for testing, and they don't need me to access them or do assessment on them. So I don't need access to those ones. But the ones that are really matters, they will give me access to them, and I'll do the task that was assigned to me to do it based on that project. Is it? So let me know more. Koroma, yes. Unmute yourself, please, and ask your question quickly. Koroma?
Yeah, I wanted to say, like, for the resource group, yeah, good evening. Can you, like, because you have so much resource groups, can you, like, do a little example, or you create a resource group and probably add maybe a service or a resource, so we see, yeah.
Sorry, Koroma,
you get what I mean? This session, you already have.
Thank you. Sorry, this session is for us to see how we can assign access control, not to create a resource group. But creating a resource group is not that difficult, right? Just search for resource group, but already, because I already access a resource group, is already showing up here for me. But for you, just search resource group. If you have access to your Azure, search resource group, and come on. Then you see create at the top here. Create, then choose the subscription out of the list of the subscription you have. I used to have 2 subscriptions. I don't know why the other one disappeared. Maybe I need to check my MCT. I don't know if my MCT has expired, but don't worry. Choose the subscription you want to create that resource group from, and then name the resource group. I think you can name a resource group. It doesn't matter whether uppercase or lowercase, but just give the resource group a name. Maybe let's say Bootcamp, or Azure Bootcamp, or Azure Security Bootcamp. Then choose the region. You know, Microsoft Cloud has region. In fact, even AWS Cloud has regions. These regions are like the data center.
I know.
Okay, so you choose the region.
I know.
I will choose West Europe as my default. Then go ahead and create them. Or you can choose Africa if you are the one but we don't have one in Nigeria, so that's why I don't care. It's in South Africa, so you can choose to create one in South Africa. But just name yours. All you need to do when you're creating resource group, just the name. That's just it. Name it in a way that you know that you understand. Is it for production? Is it for finance department? Is it for sales department? Or just name it in a way that it will be easy for someone to know what he's looking for. Then in some organization, the naming convention will have RG. They will add -RG so that they will now differentiate it, or it will start with RG so that they will differentiate it with other Azure resources, so that when they are doing auditing or something, they will know that when they are doing audit of the Azure resources, they will know that this particular resource is a resource group. You understand, right? So that's just about how to create a resource group. The next thing is to add a tag. I don't want to add tag. Maybe the tag is just maybe adding environment, who created it. So I'll just add maybe environment, but I don't want to add a tag. So just come down and it will now run a validation, and you just click on create. That's just how to create a resource group. But you cannot assign access control at the point of creating the resource group. You must have created the resource group first. If you create it's not showing, just click on refresh up here, this refresh button. Click on it, because it just takes seconds to create one. And I believe I created one already. Good, look. So it created one in South Africa, North. It called Bootcamp RG. So you go ahead, click on Bootcamp RG, come to access control, and then assign the permission by clicking on add. Okay, thank you for Koroma. I hope I answered your question. David?
Yes, thank you so far for the lesson. I just wanted to ask, are there RBAC labs that you can share with us that we can do, or are we going to do it during this lecture?
RBAC lab, like creating RBACs, custom.
Just labs we can do. Yes.
There should be labs, but I'm already doing a demo. But when did I share the link? I think I shared a link. If on that link you can't find anyone, then we need to look for apply skill for Azure resources for Azure, because all this has to do with Azure. So let's not digress. We are working on security here, right? So let's not digress and go to AZA 104, which is the administration of Azure. AZA 104 is for administrator of Azure. Well, this class we're doing is for security. That is identity compliance and this. So you can now become a security engineer or security administrator on the Azure cloud or on the Entra ID. So it may not have those labs. And why I have this knowledge, if I'm not like a solution architect as well or Azure admin as well, I may not have this knowledge of all this Azure that I was doing. Honestly, we are not supposed to be doing how to create machine, how to create resource group. That's administrative job for Azure. As a security person, as a security person, you don't have anything to do with creating resources and the Azure. All you need to do is how to protect them and how to limit access to them or how to manage access to those resources. But it doesn't bother me to show you how to do this because no knowledge is waste, right? It's just that I'm mindful of time.
All right. Thank you very much. It's fine.
You're welcome. But if I find one, I'll drop it in the WhatsApp group. If I find any lab regarding RBAC, I'll drop it on the WhatsApp group for you guys. Because this one usually disappears. This session usually disappears. We have to create a new teams every time we do a session. So the best way is to drop it in the WhatsApp. All right, guys, let's go back to, let's not digress too much. And we have limited time. So, but I'm happy that we are doing all these things because I don't like speaking grammar. This is what you want to see here in this bootcamp. All this grammar, you will be able to read it yourself because I will share the slide. But all this demonstration is the best, is why you should also be here, right? Because I'll do some things that you may not be able to see them being documented or not in my lab. So yes, I'm not feeling bad digressing. I'm taking your time to show you all this demo, right? So management group. We are trying to see access control or how to assign an RBAC within management group at the management group level, which is the highest scope in Azure. And you can see the default management group usually for all subscription Microsoft will create for you is tenant root group. That's a management group. And at this management group, I can now come down to is it tools or deployment? Let's see. There should be where I should be able to assign. I can assign at this subscription level, but no, I want to assign it at the management group level a permission. I can create a new subscription here at the management group. I can create a new subscription, but that's going to be pay as you go, no longer a free one. So I can create a new one, or I can add a new one. If I have one created already, I can add a new one. But this is created. I can create a new management group and name it. It will not be assigned. When I create the new management group, it will not be assigned a management group ID, but it must contain only ASCII characters, digit, and special characters. ASCII letter, digit, and it cannot end with a period. Anyway, let's not discuss about how to create management group. It's also easy. Whenever you see create, that's how to create it. So settings. Require right permission. There's no need for that. I'm looking for organization services. No, we're not talking about. But you can create service groups, but we don't have service group. Okay, hold on. I think I know what I was missing. Management group. Click on this. Yes. Click on the management group itself. And I think I click on tenant root. That's the name of the management group, this one. You can't change the name because that's the default management group Microsoft usually create for your subscription. Then if you don't like it, you create a new one, move your subscription to the new one you created and your name, and then you can get rid of the tenant group. Now I click on the management group itself, and I should be able to see access control here. Look at the management group now. At this particular management group, I can have several management group, and I can distribute my subscriptions to be under several management group. That will allow me to have simpler way to control access. Yes. So now at this management group, if I assign someone a built-in role or a custom role at this management group, he's going to have access to all subscriptions that will fall under this management group. Whenever I add a new subscription, by default, he's going to access that subscription and do whatever he can do within that subscription. That's called inherited permission. because you assign it at the highest umbrella. Whatever that was created within the lowest branch is going to have permission by default because he inherited that permission at the highest level. That's just it. I believe you understand the concept. So the same, if we come to, so I can assign the role here to the management group. I can give someone an owner role, which is the full access role. I can give someone contributor. I can give someone, let's see the contributor that we didn't see earlier. We should be able to see it at the management group. Contributor. Okay, if you can't see it, maybe you will see it under privilege. Yeah, you can see it here, under privilege. I don't know why Microsoft separated them from the job function role and privilege role. So this is the contributor we're looking for. Maybe at the resource level, I should also check that privilege administrator role. But a contributor may not is also an admin, but he may not be able to assign permission. That's the only thing he should not be able to do. So yeah, a contributor should be able to do administrative tasks. He has full access to do on all resources within that scope. On what is the scope? Maybe for this at the management group level. So if you're a contributor at the management group level, all the subscription under that management group, you should be able to do a contributor permission. Meaning you should be able to create, you should be able to delete, you should be able to do some administrative tasks. The only thing you won't be able to do is assign the same role or any other lower level permission or role to any other identity entities, like to any other person or device or applications. That's the only thing you can do. You can't grant access or permission, but you should be able to do administrative tasks. So that's all about assigning roles at the management group. If you want to assign a subscription group at the subscription level, all you need to do is search for subscription here. Azure subscription has a yellow key icon. That's how you know it's a subscription. You are the subscription. So you type subscription, click on subscriptions. Once you see that yellow key, that's a subscription. I only have one subscription, but like I said, I used to have two, but I don't know why the second one disappeared. I need to go and find out. So I will click on the subscription. If you have several ones, choose the specific one you want to assign. So I only have this one, so I'm coming to it. Then I'll come to access control and click on add. It's the same. Just go to that resource, be it management group, be it subscription, be it resource group, be it the resource. Just look for that, click on it, go to access control, click on add or the drop down. Now, on the subscription, you can see we have the co-admin. This co-admin is the old admin, is the admin that used to manage all resources. Like Microsoft used to have some legacy services. We call them, like there is an old virtual machine. We used to call it classic machines. And there are some classic Azure Function apps, some classic resources. But Microsoft has been trying to decommission these resources in the last 5 to 6 years that I know. Microsoft has been trying to decommission classic resources. So I don't know why my subscription is showing co-admin up to now, but I don't believe we should still have some co-admin, some classic services or resources. But co-admin is used to manage classic resources, be it classic virtual machine, because they are very difficult services to manage because they are living on the old infrastructure. That's why they call them classic. They are slow. They are not. They don't have a lot of functionalities, and they are not being run on the Azure Resource Manager (ARM). They are not run on ARM. I think classic or service management resources are run on the Red Dog infrastructure. Microsoft has what they call Red Dog. That is the old legacy data center infrastructures. Forget about that one. Let's not digress to 104 and data center this thing. So this is the same. You click on add, either click on add role assignment to assign any of the built-in roles, or click on custom to create a custom role. I think we only have 10 minutes to the end of this, 10 minutes or 15 minutes to the end of this particular session. But before we end it, let's do a demo on how to create a custom role as well. And then let's do also a demo. When we create the custom role, let's see how we can assign that custom role to either application, a user, a device, or a group. All these are the 4 identities I mentioned in my previous classes, right? A user, a group, a device, that is an endpoint, or an application itself. Yeah, you can assign an identity to an application within the Entra ID space. So yes, all these 4, in fact, there should even be 5. Manage identities is the 5th one. In fact, there's also the 6th one, AI agents. I think this is the modern one. Microsoft should start updating the documentation. AI agent is the 6th endpoint or attack surface as well. AI agent is another resource. So we should be able to have, and you can assign identity to AI agent. It's still in preview though, but yeah. So we have 6 now. All right, guys. I think we have spoken a lot about access control and how to assign it at the 4 different scope: management group, resource group, management group, subscription, resource group, and the resource itself. The resource, I mentioned a lot of resource, and I show you some of them. Now, let's see how to create a custom role. I can create a custom role at the resource group level. I can create a custom role at the subscription level. I'm going high. From down, I'm going up. At the resource group level, I can create a custom role. I can create a custom role at the subscription level. I can create a custom role at the highest level, which is management group level. I cannot create a custom role at the resource level. If I go to my machine, to my storage account, to my keyboard, I should not be able to create a custom role. And if you can only create a custom role if you have contributor role or admin role. So remember, your permission must either be a contributor or an admin or an owner. You should have a contributor or an owner role. These 2 roles, they have full permission, full access. Owner, contributor. But we know contributor should not be able to grant access to someone, but he should be able to create the role, but he will not be able to assign it to someone. That's just what he can do. He can't be able to assign it, but he should be able to create one. So, sorry. All right, so what are we missing? Let's see. So these are the steps on how you go about it, and I think I have flogged it enough. When you are assigning it, you just click on assign, but we'll see how to do that. So, oh yeah, we didn't do it. Let's assign to at the subscription level or at the resource group level. I think I created a resource group. Let's use a resource group. Don't worry. Access control. I want to assign a user access to my subscription. Add role assignment. I'm going to assign a built-in one. Then we'll assign a custom one. Now let's do that quickly because we're running on time. Now I want to assign a reader to someone. So I'm going to choose a reader role. But if you want to assign a contributor or owner, just come to here, search for owner. Oh, without even searching, you can see I can see owner. So you can assign owner role, which grant full access to all Azure resources in that resource group or within that scope. Or I can assign a contributor to someone which grant full access to that, but does not allow the user to assign RBAC to other services or identities. Now, I'm not going to assign all this high full access for testing. I'm going to assign reader. I will click on reader. When you select reader, click on reader, you select it. My own assign is showing a gray, so don't worry, it's green. For some people, you can go to settings here, this gear here, and change the settings, default settings here for appearance. You can change it so that whenever you select something, it will not show blue or whatever. But for me, it's gray, so don't worry. Click on next. Then remember, I told you the first one, the component of assigning an RBAC or a component of RBAC is the service principal name, which is the service principal itself, which is the role. This one, reader. If it is contributor, it will be showing contributor here. Now, the next thing is to choose, is it a managed identity I want to assign, or is it a service principal, or I'm assigning to user or group? You can see it is already showing the 4 identities: managed identity, user, group, and service principals. What are service principals? We already mentioned service principal is the identity you assign to a device or identity you assign to an application. Those are SPN, service principal name, SPN. Whenever you assign identity to a device or to an application, it will now have a service principal. That is what you need. You need the service principal, client ID, and client secrets to allow permissions and authorization or authentication to any service you granted access to. But let's go with user, group, and service principal. It's the most default one. As an admin, you mostly do this. But there may be some occasions where you want to use managed identity. Where you will want to use managed identity is when you want to grant access to another Azure service. Maybe I want to grant a storage account or a keyboard access or I want a storage account to be able to access some secrets, some key certificates, some keys that are stored and protected in Key Vault or in machine. Some services, then just go to the IAM, then assign manage identity. You cannot choose either system assign manage identity, or you can choose user assign manage identity. User assign manage identity that you create yourself. You will create it at the point of assigning it. But system, you don't do anything. The moment you choose system, Microsoft will be the one at the back end. They will trigger a script that will now create the system assign manage identity. You don't need to do anything. Now we'll go with the user, then click on select members. Members is who you want to, is it a user or group that you want to assign? So I will give Oyimafu. If I don't want to give Oyimafu, I will select, I don't have, maybe somebody's email, let's say Lady Gaga email at gmail.com. So if you give me your email address now, or if I have your email address, I can give you access to my Azure subscription. And when I click on that email, it's going to invite you. It will send you an email and prompting you that it will tell you that you have been invited to access my Visual Studio MCT Azure subscription. That's how it does. And the moment I click on select, when I click on this, it will add it to the list. I can assign many users as well. When all the lists are here, then you just click on select. Come down here. Then you click on select. That's it. If you want to add some description, so that for any person that wants, any other admin, maybe it's a very large organization, you may be adding some optional description here to let you understand why that role is created or why that role is assigned. It's very good, but not everyone does it. But in a very large organization where you want to understand why the reason for that assigning, for audit trail, so please try to add those in a large organization such as banks or enterprise organization that you have more than 1,000 staff. Always try to add description when you're assigning roles so that you will know when to take it out, for what purpose. Maybe you write the justification, which role, which department, what is he going to use that role for how long he needs to keep that role. If you have all those information, add them here. It will really help you when you are doing access review and to just check which roles are not needed anymore. So we now go next to see the condition. At what scope? I'm assigning it at the subscription scope. That's just all about it. It will not show you the, oh no. Yeah, because it's not, it will not go, because it's a reader, it will not give us some condition. So it's skipping the conditions. So we'll just go and review and assign. That's what my slide is saying. You just go ahead and assign. You can see it sends invite to Lady Gaga. Whoever has that email address called Lady Gaga is going to have access to my, but he can only view because I only assign reader role. I'm going to take it out, take it away. I'm going to remove it after this session, but I'm just showing you. You can see it says Lady Gaga was added to the default as a guest. It was added to my default directory. That is to my tenant, to my Entra ID tenant. She was invited. Once she accepts that invite in her email, she will be able to access this. Koroma, please. Sorry. Koroma.
Okay, so I have a situation here. The Azure I'm using is for my school. So I'm using the Azure for Student subscription. So the problem now is when I try to do what you did, like using I clicked on the users and groups, I saw the users from my school, and I don't think that's okay. So I don't know what to do if I'm supposed to.
It's okay for you to see it because if you check your permission, if you come to overview on the subscription, you will see that I am an owner. You will see that I am owner. I have owner role. In fact, not owner role. I have account admin role. Account admin meaning I own the account. I own this whole account itself. I'm above my permission is above owner as well.
Yes,
but for you,
owner,
maybe you will see. So an owner, as an owner, you should be able to see that. Yes, since you are an owner, that's why you are seeing them. If you are a reader or contributor, you will not even be able to see it. You won't be able to see them. So it's okay for you to see them. Yeah.
Yeah, but I cannot send the email thing that happened. I cannot send it to them. I don't know them.
No. It's because they are Lady Gaga. Remember, I added two. I gave 2 people permission, right? If you observe correctly, I gave access to 2 people. Let me show you. But why is it only Lady Gaga was sent an invite? Because Oyimafu's email has already been sent an invite since on my previous class.
Okay.
He was sent an invite. So it's already part of my, he's already a user that is part of my Entra ID tenant or directory. We use the word directory or tenant interchangeably in cloud, but they mean the same thing. So Oyimafu is part of, Oyimafu's email is part of my this, and that's why he was not sent an invite. But Lady Gaga was not. So that's why she was sent 2 notifications. One is for her to have access to my subscription. The second one is for Lady Gaga to be invited to my Entra ID tenant or directory. You understand?
Okay.
So
yes, I understand.
For those users that are already part of your your school, those users that are already part of your school tenant, or they will not be sent an invite. They will just have access. They won't even know they have access until when they went to and try portal.azure.com. When they try portal.azure.com, they'll just see, oh, I have access to this subscription. Who gave me access? That's all how it works. You understand?
But yeah. Okay,
yeah,
so like for my school now, they restricted me from using their tenants. I cannot use their tenants. They didn't give me that access. So, but I have my own tenants. So that's the issue I'm having. I cannot take user. Yes.
Let me explain something to you. This is Azure, Azure permissions we're talking about, not Entra ID permission. Maybe they restrict you to Entra ID tenant permissions or resources, but they didn't know that they still gave you access on the Azure side. So on the Entra ID, when you come to Entra ID, when you come to Entra ID, for you to do anything with Entra ID, you must be given the Entra ID roles. Remember, I don't know if you have done Entra ID roles. If I don't know if it was skipped, but somebody was supposed to take you Entra ID roles. Let's go through Entra ID roles here. We don't have time. Where is not under here authentication method? There should be Entra ID roles. Domain name. Where is it? Governance. No permissions. It should be under Entra ID roles. Should be under PIM. Okay. Here, privilege identity management. You should be able to see Entra ID roles. So if you are not given any of the Entra ID roles that are inbuilt or custom, you won't be able to do anything with the Entra ID admin. Yes, it's managing Entra ID is different from managing Azure. Yeah. So I'm looking for the default Entra ID roles that Microsoft has. Because I am the owner of this Entra ID tenant, I should be able to see all the roles, Entra ID roles. Okay. I don't even have. It's supposed to list out those ones for me. The Entra ID roles should have been listed out. Okay, hold on. This is it. I was clicking the wrong thing. So it's all right. Maybe because I logged into with admin role. What is this? That account should be a global admin. So I don't know why it is not. It's supposed to list out all those inbuilt roles for me here to see, so that I can show you all those roles. But anyway, maybe I log in with the wrong account. I don't know. I have 2 accounts anyway, but one of them should be global admin. My roles, users, groups, default. What is my role in this account? Let's see, properties. It should have been a global admin by default, so that it should list out all the inbuilt default roles for me. But somehow it's not showing me the global admin. We'll come back to that. But there is a reason why this Lady Gaga was sent an invite. Oyimafu was not sent an invite, because Oyimafu was already part of the users. If I go back to Entra ID and check user, you'll see Oyimafu has already been a user for a long time. I think I added him in our last. Yeah, you can see the invitation was sent to him last time. So if I click on that, So that's why a new invite was not sent to him. You can see I added him November 30th. That was the day we are doing external identities, how to manage external identities. So I added his account as guest, as a guest account. That's why you're seeing it as guest account since it's not part of my tenant. All right, so let's go back. We have seen how to add or create roles. Now, what we are just missing is how to create a custom role, but we are limited on time. So we quickly see how to create a custom role. We'll create a custom role at the subscription level. No, let's do it at the resource group level this time. Since we have already assigned roles, okay, let's see how to remove the roles. Let's remove Lady Gaga so that you quickly see how to remove a role. Go to access control, go to role assignments, not add, now role assignments. Now it will list out all the roles and what they have. You can see I have two owner roles. Now let's see, we have two reader roles, Emmanuel, Oyimafu, and Lady Gaga. So now let's remove Lady Gaga. You click on selecting Lady Gaga and you click on delete. Delete. Do you want to delete? Yes. So it said removing Lady Gaga as reader on your subscription, and it's boom, it's removed. That's just it. How to remove. If someone left or someone no longer need access, that's how to remove him. When you click on that delete, you are not deleting his account. You are removing him from the access at that scope. All right. So that's how to remove it. Now, how to create a custom role. We can do it here, but I don't want to do it at the scope of the subscription. Let's do it at the resource group scope. So let's go to resource group, either search resource group or click on resource group. You've already searched it. It will save it for you so that you don't keep searching. It saves frequent resources you keep accessing. That's how Azure does it. Resources that you frequent in search or in accessing, it does that. Okay, Rosa and admin, thank you, Oswald. I didn't notice, but we'll check that. Go to roles and admin under Entra ID. Okay, guys, let's go to roles and thank you. My head was, so yes, thank you guys, Oswald and Kolawale. You can see it here. This is what I do every day at work, but my head was just somewhere. So these are built-in rules, but these rules are not Azure rules. These are Entra ID rules. They allow you to be able to do a lot of things or administrative tasks within the Entra ID, not Azure. That's why you see agent developer. Remember I told you agent, AI agent. You can see it now. Agent ID administrator, agent ID developer, agent registry administrator. But let's see about Intune. When you're managing Intune, is it compliance or Intune? Yeah, Intune administrator. If you are managing password, you will see authentication policy, help desk admin, password administrator. You can see. So these are roles that are inbuilt within Entra ID. They are built-in roles, but if you are a global admin, if you don't like any of these roles and you want to create a specific customized one, you click on new custom role up here, new custom role. Honestly, I don't know why as a global admin, I don't have, it is graded for me. Or is it okay, maybe it's my other second account that is global admin. Maybe this at live.com is not my admin, it's not my global admin. Unfortunately, I didn't notice until we started class. We don't have time for me to switch to global admin. But when I log in with my Gmail, it should be the global admin because that's my tenant and my subscription. So I don't know why it's grayed out. And to create a custom role, I need premium P1. That's just it. That's just it. My account is not a premium. I didn't upgrade it to P1 or P2. It is still on the free. Is it free? Yeah, free tier. Not free trial, but free tier. There's a difference between free tier and free trial. Free trial is for maybe all this premium subscription, and you can do a free trial. After 1 month free trial, you either start paying. In fact, they'll start charging you until you quickly cancel it. You cancel it and remove your. So these are what I can upgrade to. I can upgrade it to either P2 and enjoy my free trial. But last time I think on our last session, I tried to upgrade. It's a long process. I need to add my card. I have the card that can work, but I don't want them to start charging my dollar card or my euro card. So let them forget. So that's all these are called built-in rules. But like I said, if you have P1 subscription or P2, you should be able to create a custom role. These are Entra ID roles. No, if you are already global admin, you don't need to assign any of these roles for yourself. You should be able to do everything that all these listed roles here can do. So you don't need to assign. If not, there will be conflict sometimes. Because sometimes you may log in, sometimes, no, you log in with the same account, and that same account has maybe Intune admin. And global admin, you should be able to do everything within Intune as well. So you don't need to assign yourself Intune or any other specific admin role. The moment you're a global admin, that's why best practice is not to give a global admin to a person's identity. Assign global admin to a service principal, meaning assign it to an account that nobody's using mostly, only admins are using it. In my organization, maybe we have 2 administrators, but these are 2 administrators, they have their own work account, meaning their own personal account, work personal account. They have each have administrative account as well that is tied to their own name as well. So when they want to do administrative work, they log in with the administrative admin account. When they want to do something that has to do with their own name, non-administrative task or non-administrative things, they now log in with their normal work personal account, work account, but it's work account though. So no, if you're already using an account that is already a global admin, then you don't need to assign any of this sub-admin or sub built-in roles. You don't need to do that. So we're talking about custom roles. Because I have owner role, I should be able to create custom role. So let's come to resource group. Let's pick the Bootcamp resource group. And let's go with access control. On access control, we wait for it to populate. Sometimes it takes time. I don't know why. Depending on your network sometimes, or depending on your caching, I don't know sometimes. Now, sorry you guys, I have kata, so sorry I'll be doing this. So you click on add, drop down, click on add custom role. Why are we creating custom role? Because it's a role, we want to create all the built-in roles, none of them will satisfy our use case. Maybe I don't want someone to have only reader role, but I want him to have something between reader role and contributor role. So that's why I'm creating a custom role. Depending on your use case, use case varies depending on where it crop up. You want him to access something, but not everything. So you create a custom role, give him only that particular scope and permissions, assignable scope and permissions, so that only that assignable or scope he should be able to do. And once it's done, remove it. Now, we're going to create a new one from scratch. We can clone an existing one, but we don't have existing role, or we can clone a built-in role, or you can just create it from JSON. And that's sometimes my favorite, because working with JSON is really easy. So you just go ahead in your Notepad or in your Visual Studio Code, paste it, remove it, add some permission scopes, remove /write/read. That's just it. Save it then leave it, so just know the location, and then come here and navigate to where the file is, the JSON file is. When I click this, it will navigate to the file, the JSON file I created. I will just select that JSON file from here and then click on open. It will now populate it, and now click next. Boom, it will create the role for me. It's really a fast way of doing it. If you don't want to, if you are not a portal person, someone that do click on the portal, just do it from the JSON and upload. Now, but we're going to build a new one from scratch. We have already gone into the other time, but sorry about that, guys. Let's quickly do this, because creating custom role is also very important for this class. I promise you, I'll just rush through the slide and we'll just start the second class. This is from a session from before Christmas that was not done. So I'm sorry about taking your time to just quickly finish this. So go ahead and name it, give it a name, give it a very, very meaningful name so that you know what that role is going to do. Maybe you want him to be able to read or view and start machine, or let's say start and view machine. Let's see if it will allow me. It won't take space. So I want this role to allow someone to start and view machine, start and view VMs. So what does it mean? It means that this role is to allow someone that he should be able to view and start machine. But a reader role should allow him to do the view, but it will not allow him to be able to start. But contributor role can do that, but you find it is overkill. You find contributor role as so overkill because it gives him a wider, more other permissions that you don't want him than necessary. So that's why you are creating a custom role. Now you can add the description here. You can be so verbose here. Like, what did I do? Oops. It didn't copy. Okay, my last, what is on my clipboard last time was maybe the link I share on the chat, on this session chat. Start and view, right? Start and view VMs. And I think it didn't copy my literacy. Probably. Good, finally copied. We're building this custom role from scratch. So next, so we're going to add permissions. We can exclude some permissions, but for now, let's just add permission. When you add permission, only that permission you added will be used. When you exclude, so it will not include any other, it will exclude any other one. But why is exclusion? If it will exclude any other permission, why is exclusion button there? Because in some cases, you may want to be specific and be deliberate about excluding some permissions. That's why Microsoft added that one. But that doesn't mean that when you say add permission, it will not still allow that person to do something outside what you add permission you gave him. No, anything outside the permission you implicitly mentioned you implicitly added will only be, so it's implicit, meaning whatever permission you added is what will be assigned to the person. Any other one, any other outside what is added will not be assigned, will be excluded. But if that's true and valid, why do we have exclusion permission? Is because you are not being deliberate as well, being implicit that I still want this to be excluded. Not that Microsoft will include it, but you have also been deliberate about it and been implicit about it. So let's add permissions. So what do we want this user to do? Do you want him to access a specific resource? Then do that resource. Remember I said VM virtual machine. So we'll just say virtual machine. Start with virtual machine so that it will bring all the permissions that have to do with virtual machine. Virtual machines. Virtual machine is compute. So Microsoft.compute, not classic compute. Remember I told you about old machines that are compute classic. So that's classic. So we'll go with Microsoft.compute. If it is storage account, it will be Microsoft storage. If it is Azure container instances, you can see them here. If it is virtual network, so just search for it. In fact, search for it. So you will not find virtual machine, but you find compute. Because virtual machine is a compute resource, but normal compute, not classic compute. So if it is monitoring, so just go with compute. Whereas if it is migrate, you go with migrate, but let's go with compute. Microsoft.compute, classic, capacity. Capacity is for assigning the SKUs, such as all those sizes of machine, SKUs, or sizes of DBs, those SKUs. I saw compute just now. Yeah, this one. Now, we already choose the scope, right? Permission scope. Now, let's choose the permission. Within this compute, what do I want him to do? Do I want him to be able to do it at the subscription? No. What I want him, not data actions. These are data actions, but actions. The action I want him to be able to do is on machines. So it will now become Microsoft.compute / not availability set, machines, virtual machines. If you didn't see it, search for it. Search for under action, search for an action that is under virtual machines. It will now stimulate and filter for virtual machines. Remember, these are scale set. We're not dealing with scale set. Those are instances of machines, scale set. We're doing virtual machine, not scale set. So we'll continue to go down, virtual machines. In fact, I don't want to type, let's type fully so that it won't mess up with us. Even though scale set are also machines, but the normal virtual machine is what we are looking for, not scale set. Yeah, this is it started from here, virtual machines. Now, what do what do you want under virtual machine? We want him to be able to view, which is read. We want him to be able to delete, no. But if I want him to delete, yeah, that's where the beauty of custom role, right? You want him to be able to delete. But we know reader role will not allow him to delete. So I'm adding delete. But I don't want him to write, because if I give him write and delete, then why am I not giving him contributor role? Because contributor role should have these three. A contributor role should have these three, including this start and power off. That's what a contributor role should do. In fact, contributor role has all this. A contributor role should do all this, but you may want to choose some of this. That's why you are now creating a custom role. And I name my custom role to be what? To view and start, not to delete. So I'm going to remove all these ones. I want him to be able to start the machine, to power off the machine, and to view the machine. Any other one, any other thing, no. That's the beauty of custom role. If not, then if you give him contributor, he is going to be able to do all these listed permissions on that virtual machine. In fact, let's take a screenshot and share with you, so that when you're creating your custom role, you should be able to have something, a point of reference. So under machines, compute, come on. These are the available ones. And if you have honor role, you should be able to see it yourself. But I'm just dropping this for reference purpose for you, so you can get it before the class ends, because I don't know if you'll be able to have access to this same chat again. So these are the only permissions I want this particular role to be able to do. Then I will just click on add and next. Am I limiting him to only this resource group level? Yes, I'm assigning it at the resource group level. That's the scope. Next, and this is the JSON part of it. Remember, I told you I can create this thing from JSON, right? So you just copy this, and then you can manipulate it anywhere you have. You just manipulate the action here. When you're creating anything from JSON, especially permission, all you need to change is just change the action under permissions, change it. I didn't create anything under not action. I didn't create any permission under data. But if I want to create anything under data actions, I'll just create it within inside this square bracket. Remember, we're creating it under actions, which is permissions. That's under permission actions. All right, so I don't need to change anything. It's based on what I did from Portal that it translates whatever I choose from Portal to a JSON. So it's going to run the JSON. You can see even Microsoft is running JSON for you for your permissions. That's why I said it's very fast. It's faster and more making sense to create your. If you know how to write JSON script or this JSON, just do it from JSON. I can even change the name of my custom role. Even though I want to keep it just to start and view my machines, start and power of the machine. Then next. Let's review. It's just giving you a summary of what you just did. It's going to create a role called start and view VMs. This is the description. I gave the role, and these are the actionable permission or action permissions that that role should be able to do. These three actions, and this is the scope, meaning it is only going to be applicable within this boundary of resource group. It will not be applied at the resource group level. It will not be applicable at the management group level. In fact, even at the resource group level, it's only going to apply it at this specific resource group called Bootcamp. It will not be applied to all the resource group. If I wanted to apply to all resource group, I will just go and assign them one by one. Just create the role first, then assign it one at a time to each resource group, which is a pain in the ass, I said at the beginning. So let's go ahead and create it. That's how to create custom role. When we create it, you have successfully created a custom role. Remember, it's just creating, but it's not assigning. So I'll just click on OK. Let's go to roles and see if we have custom role. No, not the assignable roles. Roles, yeah. Let's see, what is that role is called start and view. Start and view. Why is it not? Yeah, you can see the role is created. Start and view VMs. This is the role. And which type of role is it? You can see the type is custom role. So if I want to assign this role to someone, all I need to do is click on add, role assignment. Sorry, guys. Role assignment, and let's look for that role. Start and view. Yeah, this is it. Then you click on the role. Next, choose which resource you want to give it to. Do you want to assign it to yourself, to a group, or to whatever? I want to assign it to someone. So I'll click on select member, choose Lady Gaga again. You can see because Lady Gaga has been added previously. If you don't want to see Lady Gaga here, click on that remove so that she won't be part of what you see. But for now, let's just leave it. Lady Gaga, invite Lady Gaga to be able to view and start. She won't be able to delete. She'll only be able to view, start, and what is the third one? The third one, I think there's a third permission I added there, but I can't remember what is it. Anyway, so it's just the same way you assign the built-in roles, and this is in summary. Did I miss something? Previous, maybe members. Okay, I didn't add it. Click on that, click, select. Yeah, it's added now. So next, review and assign. So it's adding a custom role. We created a custom role and we assign that custom role to Lady Gaga. Now, if you go to gmail.com, if you come to our role assignment, we should be able to see that a role called start under alphabetically is called start and view. You can see it's assigned to Lady Gaga at gmail.com and it's a custom role. So that's how to create a custom role and choose the scope and permissions. You choose the permissions based on which resource, which scope, is it at the resource group level, is it at the subscription, is it compute? So you choose all those service principal, you choose the scope, and you choose the actionable permissions. So that's it. Before we roll up and start the other session, we'll take 5 minutes break. But any other question before we go on break? Because I don't think I'll be able to go through all the 19 script, because whatever I need to go through here is already what I explained to you. Custom roles. When you are creating a custom roles, you can use built-in roles. When you find the condition which you use custom is when you find your built-in role insufficient or the use case is not applicable to the built-in roles. When you're creating custom roles, there's allow actions, data actions, and conditions. You can set them at the point of creating the custom role. I forgot to set the data action, but we don't need a data actions. And I forgot to set a condition under which we can use that permission. So but you can play around with those ones in your own lab. Now you can also assign to a specific scope. Either you can assign it at this management group, either at the scope of subscription or at the scope of resource or at the scope of resource group, which I did at the I assigned it at a resource at the scope of resource group. And whoever has access to that permission will be able to do all those actions or permission I gave him at that resource group, only at that resource group. So you can see how permissions can be streamlined and narrowed to a specific resource or scope. All right, any other questions, please? While I'm explaining all this slide, we'll be going for 5 minute break, but any question before we go 5 minute break, for the 5 minute break, and we'll come back and start how to deploy and configure Entra global access, secure access, global secure access. No questions? Okay, I think Kuroma has been doing justice to the questions earlier. So I believe everyone's doubt has been clear. So we know managed identities. I said we have 2 managed identities, system assigned managed identity and user assigned managed identity. And I explained them earlier. So you don't need credentials to be stored in code. You can use managed identity. You can assign them to either Azure services or some apps. That's why we use managed identity, and so that the application such as storage account can securely access your machine or can securely access a key vault. Actually, there was supposed to be another class, a demo I was supposed to do for you for key vault, but I believe you should be able to do it yourself. Let's remove that role quickly before Lady Gaga hack my subscription. No, it's not at the subscription level. I assign it at the resource group. So let's go to the resource group and remove it. Okay. I'm not deleting the custom role, but I'm removing the permission from Lady Gaga. That's what I'm just doing. I'm removing it, but you can also delete. I'm removing it from Lady Gaga, delete. If I don't need that role as well, I can go to that role and delete that custom role as well. All I need to do is go to roles, come to roles here. So that has been removed from Lady Gaga. Come to the roles here and search for that role, start and view. Then select it as well, and then delete it. If that's how to delete a custom role, any role that you created. Now, you can only delete custom role you created. You can't delete built-in roles Microsoft created. You can't delete them. Let's see if we can delete them. But I don't believe you should be able to. Let's see. I selected owner role. Let's delete. Let's delete reader role, but you shouldn't be able to delete it. Are you sure you want to remove the selected role? The removed roles can no longer be assigned as part of role assignment. So Microsoft allows us to delete it. But maybe if I delete it, I should be able to add it back. All I need to do is go to some, either raise a support ticket, or I should be able to see where I should be able to bring it back. But these are Microsoft assignable role. Before, you should not be able to do it, but maybe some people have been asking Microsoft so that in their organization, they don't want somebody going to assign those roles. So they want Microsoft to allow them to be able to delete it from their own tenant or from their own scope. They will delete it from their own scope. If they need it, they will have to raise ticket so that it will not be added back by the engineering team, Microsoft engineering team. So I don't want to go through that pen just to show you, but so be careful when you're deleting any role, because if it is not a role, custom role, it's a built-in role and you delete it, maybe you will need to raise a ticket to have it back. I don't think you should be able to restore it back, but we'll see. It's something we need to look into. So guys, I'll share this slide with you and you go ahead. If you have any question regarding this slide that we have not finished, but trust me, we have covered everything in the slide except this key vault access. You can go ahead and use the demo that I have to do it. In the demo, we already start to create a custom role, but we didn't do the key vault demo. So you go ahead and do it. I shared the link. The best practice is always remember, apply principle of least privilege, meaning don't assign the most widespread permission. Assign as few permission as possible that will allow that person to do his job. You saw me, out of all the listed permission under that virtual machine, I only assigned 2 or 3 of them. Those will allow that person to do his job. But if I assign him a contributor, that person will be able to do a lot of other things that I don't want him to do, or the organization don't want him to do. So these are the use cases or situation where you use custom roles. So let's go on break and come back 5:40, and we start the second session 5:40. Thank you, guys. We'll start 5:40 since there are no questions. All right, I think it's time. I believe we have some few 5 minutes for us to refresh and ease ourselves, even though it's not enough for you, but we have a lot to cover again. So bear with us. So, like I said, I will share all this slide. There's nothing much, it's just English. We have already done what is necessary in the demo, and I believe that's what matters. Now, welcome again into the session for today. Honestly, we are supposed to complete this session in the next 20 minutes. We are allocated 1 hour for each session, but no worries. Let's go ahead and see what we can do. Even if we have to add maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I beg your indulgence to allow us to be able to complete this session so that we don't have any carryovers or carry forward. So today session was supposed to be deploy and configure Microsoft Entra Global Secure, but we'll start it right on time as well. So in this session, we'll be going through how to deploy Microsoft Entra Global Secure Access. And what is Microsoft Entra Global Secure Access? What are the different profiles that we have when we want to deploy global secure access? The 3 different profiles and what are their scope or what they can do for you. We'll also see how to configure or what is remote networks. My permission may be limited, but based on my explanation and maybe your environment, free trial environment, which I believe some of you already have exhausted your free trial, but if you have different account, you can keep creating until you are able to do it, or you just use the one in applied skill. Do it from the applied skill labs. So we also go through remote networks. Yeah, your on-premise network, your other cloud, multi-cloud network, all those networks are remote networks to you. What is not a remote network is the network within Microsoft Azure. Your network within the cloud is not a remote network, but any other network outside Microsoft Entra ID or Microsoft Azure is a remote network. Be it your network in AWS, your network in Alibaba Cloud, your network in on-premises as well, your on-premise network. They are all considered as remote networks. Now, that is where global secure access is all about. How to securely access remote networks, remote application, remote services. Why? Because if you don't have a secure tunnel to access these endpoints or attack surfaces, I think the light is too bright. Let's first decide. If you don't have a secure tunnel, then you will be subject to man-in-the-middle attack, packet sniffing, meaning someone will be sniffing your packet when it is traveling between your cloud environment or your cloud resources and your on-premise network or your on-premise your application, remote application. Someone will be sniffing packets. From there, he's going while he was catching the useless packet, he will start catching some important information as well. And those important information may start making sense for him one way or another. So you don't want that to happen. So in order to keep our network traffic or transit information, our information or data in transit secure, we need this global secure access. I want to grant you access to a server or application that is being hosted in India, in US. I need to make sure I use global secure access. For those of you that are already in the IT space, they are not new to IT. You'll be saying, what is this guy talking about? Is he not talking about VPN, using VPN? Yes, VPN, but Microsoft doesn't want you to use the legacy VPN. The legacy VPN, what it does is, Express, not VPN, Express VPN, all those common use VPN, they are network related. They are not identity network oriented. We are not talking about VPN that is attached and built on top of identities. And when we are talking about identities, I'm not talking about a person. I'm not talking about your email address or your company account. We're talking about your device, your company devices, your virtual machine servers, your AKS clusters, your web app applications, your hosted applications, all these remote services that are hosted remote, as long as they have been accessed by your users, your staff, or your remote users, your contractors, you want them to access these services or these identities securely, not only using VPN, but using identity built in and intelligent identities or intelligent security, where it is always monitoring, always authenticating, always assuming breach. So it is built on the principle of zero trust. It is always monitoring, always assuming there is breach. It is always making sure you only assign the least privilege or least permission to that identity. And it is always assuming breach as well. That whoever is coming in, whatever, and it is making use of token, session token. So it is not just giving you a one-time access, or it's not giving you a full-time access. Every time you come in, oh, it's Haladu that is coming in, boom, go in. Oh, it's Haladu is coming. No. When you come, it doesn't know you. Even though it's saying it is Haladu, in fact, you can be the global admin or you are the president. I'm just using that. Let's just laugh. It's just a humor. It will still block you and ask you, give me your valid session. Give me a valid session token. Once you provide a valid session token, boom, go ahead and access what you are granted access. But even with that, there are still people that can still have access. They will poison the token, or there's what we call token theft. They will steal the token. But Microsoft has done some, but there's no any technology that cannot be hacked. Forget about it. I can tell you as a security person that token can be stolen. Even the new token that was generated, or even if the session is ended and a new session was prompted, it will still be hijacked halfway and then be used by someone. So there are all those things, poisoning the token session or whatever. There are a lot of ways to attack a session, but let's know about this class. If you want to learn that, I think go to Pound Lab, but it's too expensive for their class. But you can go to Pound Lab if you have the money. Pound Lab, I think they have where you can do the red team, Azure Cloud Red Team or AWS Cloud Red Team, how you can attack all these cloud resources. And then when you attack them, you know where the weakness is. And when you are building this security solution, you know what to put more so that kind of attack or weakness will be blocked as much as possible. It will be blocked. So on this session, we'll see global secure access, all about this, how we can integrate this global secure access to conditional access policy. We already know conditional access policy. I believe we have done a class already on conditional access policy on Entra ID. So how you integrate this global secure access to conditional access policy based on context, location, IPs, geopolitical, all this. Then it also has a dashboard for monitoring and alerting. It will monitor and alert you on some abnormal behaviors or abnormal activity by those identities. And it will show you the most visited application, from which country is being visited, those applications have been visited, which IP is mostly, and which IP is breaking your company security policy. All this monitoring and the best practice on how to configure it and some troubleshooting. I hope we have time though, but let's see. Unfortunately, my subscription doesn't have the P1 or P2. So I will just be explaining this I will just be explaining this theoretically and be showing you on Azure, but won't be able to demo this. But if you have time to do the apply skill for this, you should be able to do it on apply skill. If your Entra ID subscription is P1 or P2 on free trial, you should also be able to demo this. Let me see if I have the link. Let me share with you the link to this Microsoft Entra ID Learn link to this one, so that you should be able to do it yourself. Okay, I found it. Okay. So when you have time, you should be able to see the labs on the demo. You can do it at your own lab yourself. Now, whatever. Hold on. Okay, I've shared that on the link, the public link, available link in the Microsoft Learn public available link in the chat. So what we'll be doing today is on the agenda, and this is the learning objective: to understand global secure access, to see how to deploy internet and private access. Those are the two of the most commonly used profiles. Configure traffic forwarding, apply conditional access policy, meaning integrating global secure access to conditional access policy. So once certain conditions are met, or you want to enforce that global secure client must always be used, that's where you enforce it from conditional access policy. Then the monitoring dashboard, I already explained this already. So now, what is global? What is Microsoft Entra global secure access? I believe the word SASE or SASE, you see it there. Microsoft Entra global secure access is not the only secure access service edge. There are a lot of other third-party service edge or ZTN. ZTN is zero trust network access. But what you will find is mostly this zero trust application or solutions, especially there are some that are built by all these big giants in security and firewalls, be those built by Palo Alto, F1, F5, Access, what do you call them? All those ones, they built all this ZTN as well, but they are mostly focused on ASB or network. What Microsoft Azure Global Secure Access is built on is a ZTN as well, or a SaaS. That is a secure access edge, a secure access service edge, but it's also intuitive in a way that it is built based on within the identity and based on the principle of zero trust. Meaning every time a traffic is coming in, that traffic must authenticate and verify itself. So it will assume that it doesn't know it, even if it is just a hard packet. When we say packet, it's a this chunk of your network traffic. Your network traffic are broken into packets. So those packets, a full message is broken into packets. Even though that packet is an incomplete packet, that it's half of the packet has already gone in and has been verified, it will still verify the second half. That's how this is designed. So it is designed to replace your legacy VPN. Yes, that your VPN that you are using on your laptop, whether company laptop or personal laptop. This global secure access is designed to replace it, because your VPN, it always trusts you. It always trusts a network that imitates or pretends it is you. As long as the source is coming from your laptop or is coming from your IP, it will trust it. But this global secure access doesn't do that. It only trusts what the valid session that's coming in. It doesn't even trust your identity, that service principal, that user, that group, that managed identity or system managed identity. It doesn't trust it. Validate. Give me a valid session token, then I will let you in. That's what it does. It is integrated with the Entra ID space, meaning you can make use of, you can integrate it with conditional access policy. I already explained that. And like I said, it is built on the principle of identity, zero trust principle of identity, the identity principle of zero trust. The identity pillar, sorry, not principle, the identity pillar of zero trust, because we have 5 pillars of zero trust, pillars: the identity, the network, the endpoints, the data, and the application. All these entities all these entities or pillars can be surrounded with zero trust. Be it an application coming in to access another service, that application must authenticate with a valid session token. If it is a database that is coming to access the application, the database must authenticate with a valid session token. If it is your network that is coming to access a certain application, that network must authenticate itself with a valid session token. So those pillars, but this particular global secure access is based on the identity pillar, meaning it is using identity. And we know that identity in the Microsoft Cloud can be given to any entity. It can be given to user. It can be given to the device. It can be given to application. It can be given to services within the Azure, which is managed services So that's why we have manage identity. And under manage identity, we can have system assign manage identity, identity that Microsoft is managing for you, that they created and assign on your behalf. Or you can go ahead and create your own users assign manage identity. You create an identity, assign it to application, then a service provider will be given where a client secret and a client ID will be given to you. Now, that's a managed user assign manage identity. You cannot use it to use a user assign manage identity. That's just the difference. That's just it. Then the newest one, with the advent of AI, the newest one in town, the agent. That agent also can be given an identity. All right. So what are the core components of global secure access? We have this, the Entra internet access. Global secure access is just a solution, a collection of those three solutions. The internet access, where you need the internet profile. The private access, private access, where you need the private access profile. And then the global secure access dashboard. Yes, it has a dashboard where you can see the overview, the metrics, the alerts, the health of all those services that are always assessing your solutions or whatever. Then it also have remote network where you define your remote networks that you want to be trusted, but it will not always trust them. Like I said, it will always assume that it doesn't know them. So they need to forward every time they want to access it. They will generate a new session token from the Entra ID space. Then they will not try to access whatever services that you protect with the global secure access. So in a way, yeah, it is a VPN, but a VPN that is built on the identity platform. And it is also used to, yeah, there's a third one. You can make sure you can also use it to configure a secure access to Microsoft services. Yes, Microsoft services. So you use the Microsoft access to allow you to access all those Microsoft 365 applications. You know, we have more than 30 Microsoft 365 applications, more than 30. You will know Microsoft has a lot of applications. Trust me, more than 30. If you want to know, just go to office.com. If you have access, you will see Microsoft will list out all this, not only Teams, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. There are a lot of other Microsoft 365 solutions. Some of them, as long as Microsoft will just give you don't need license. Some of them you need license. There are a lot of them. So all those Microsoft solutions or services, you want to access them securely. You can also configure what we call Microsoft 365 access on the global secure access. But each of these services needs a license. Each of these services needs a license. Yes, there's one license that can give you access to all of them. There is specific license. So in case maybe your organization already have Microsoft 365 P1, that's premium P1, or you have P2, Microsoft Entra ID premium P2, but you still want to, if you have P1 or P2, you have automatically you already have access to the 365 listen, but you will not have access to the internet access or the private access. You need a license called Microsoft Entra Suite license. You need to purchase that license. Microsoft Entra Suite, I don't know how much it costs, but you can enable free trial. Under the free trial on the Entra ID space, you can enable the Entra Suite free trial. Under billing, trials. So this Entra Suite, this one, this Microsoft Entra Suite will allow me to be able to configure global secure access. And it will also allow me to have the profile, internet profile, the private access profile, and the 365 access profile. Yes, this suite, this particular subscription or license will allow me to access all the three. But if I don't want all the three, then I will have to go for specific license for each of them. Or I have to go for P1 or P2. P1 or P2 will only allow me to access the 365 one. If I need access to the internet one or the private access, I will need to buy Microsoft Entra Suite license. All right. So that's about the components. Like I said, it is built on the principle of zero trust, principle of the identity pillar. And what are the 4 principles of zero trust is verify explicitly, meaning always verify. Trust, but always verify it. That's what Zero Trust do. That's what solutions or security solutions that are built on ZTEN or principle of Zero Trust, they will always end a session. Once you leave, within a time span, they will terminate a session. Or once they find that your session is idle, they will terminate that session and you need to start a new one. Now, another principle, the second principle of Zero Trust is least privilege, meaning it will always assign only the least permission until you explicitly assign another higher permission or another wider scope. It will always allow you to give you it will give you the control to assign the least permission and even ask you, are you sure this is because this user will be able to do this. That's what a security solution should do. Should be always verify with you. Are you sure you want to assign as much as this permission within this scope? If you are sure, then yeah. But always assign the least privilege, least permission of scope. That's the second principle of Zero Trust. Then assume breach. Always assuming that I don't know this session, I don't know this identity, even though you know it, you don't know it, because there are a lot of tools that can pretend or mimic what you think you know. So it will always assume there is breach, and it will always contain, even though you are the global admin, it will breach. The moment you are a global admin, you are supposed to be accessing that resource from US. You are not accessing that resource from India. Even if you are the global admin, in fact, you can be the owner of the business. It will block you because it is assuming that I don't know. It's not common to access this resource from India, so it will block you. Even if you are the global admin, it will block you. So that's why it will always assume breach. So it is built in logically to assume breach. That's why it is blocking you. Then continue monitoring. Yes, it will always continue monitoring that session. Is it a valid session? Is it a fake session pretending to be a valid session? Always, and it will be giving you alerts. It will give you alert. It has a dashboard to give you the health. Who has accessed what from what region or what geographical. That is the principle of zero trust. These four are the four principles of Zero Trust globally, be it on the cloud, on premises, wherever in cybersecurity. These are the four major principles of Zero Trust. Okay, I've spoken a lot. Let's see. Any question before I move forward? No questions? Okay. Now, deploy internet access. We mentioned there are three profiles. Internet access. From the name, you know that when you configure this, configuring it is not difficult, but when you configure it, it is going to allow your resource to access internet. And it allows you to make use of a lot of other services or features within it. You can configure web filtering, meaning your users that are accessing a browser, you can configure browser context. It's not that you're monitoring what your staff are doing, but you are blocking them from accessing Facebook during work. You block Facebook, you block YouTube, but you can choose some certain identities to allow them to, because maybe someone in marketing team may need to access Facebook, LinkedIn, WhatsApp. Then you can now implicitly allow him that particular identity to access those resources. You can also block all those adult content sites from your company. You configure it from here. You can configure from conditional access, yes, but that's what we say. You can also integrate the global secure access with your conditional access policy, and then set a condition whenever a user use browser and access, block it. You can also configure from Intune, but Intune you are going overkill. Here you are already setting it from at the minimum at the baseline level, like at the ground level, you're already blocking it. So there are a lot of services under this, but this is just to make sure you have a secure internet access. Your staff or whatever traffic that is going has a secure listen, and you can now configure some policies, configure some, what do you call it, conditions and service features or services. You can auto assign users, which is pilot users. What this means is when you are configuring this, don't assign it globally to all your Entra ID tenant directory. Start with pilot users, test it with pilot users. Test it with maybe 2 or 3 users in fact, don't test with users that are at work. Test it with some accounts that they may give you feedback, and create a Teams channel for collaboration. Add those users, pilot users, so that tell them that, okay, John, Kolawale, we're testing this particular feature, and we're going to add it as test pilot users. We want you to give us feedback. If you observe anything, maybe your Outlook is blocking, your browser is not accessing some certain things, or you have just give us any abnormalities you observe, or any things that are different from the usual. Let us know so that we'll see where the issue is and with its troubleshoot. So always test a small niche of users. Test a small niche of users. Once you get the feedback, fine-tune, address the issues before you release it globally to all your staff or to all your directory. That's what I mean by this point. Deploy to you then proceed ahead and deploy your clients. What I mean by client is Global Secure Access has a global secure client. That's what you install on your laptop. It's called client. That application that you install on your laptop for VPN is a client one. It's client. So that's what the next thing is, to deploy it on your system, and then it will now create a secure tunnel from the Entra ID to whatever services that you're accessing. Any questions again? So we'll end this session by 6:30. So, or before then, but hopefully we end it by 6:30. Like I said, my Entra ID doesn't have the permission for me to do, but I will show you, but I will not be able to do it because I don't have the P1 license or P2 license or Entra suite license, and I don't want to activate it. So, so forgive me. Like I said, we have 3 traffics that are known, or 3 profiles. It allows you to create 3 profiles. If you are configuring internet access, if you are configuring internet access, then you go ahead and create this profile, internet profile. If you are deploying for private access, you create this private access profile. If you are configuring to only allow access to, okay, what do we use private access profile? Because we have not come, we'll come to that, don't worry. I already explained this to internet access to allow you to your users to access internet, or so that in a secure way, so that you want to block some certain site, enable web content filtering, all those features, you need to deploy internet access. But if you want to only allow a secure access to your Microsoft services, all Microsoft services, be it on Azure, in fact, it's M365 services, access to SharePoint, access to Teams, access to Word, access to Entra ID, to Excel, to Word, all those 365. There are plenty other Microsoft services that we don't know. Just go to office.com and you see them, list them out, loop. Some of them I don't even know. Stream, they are all there. Microsoft has all those services. They will not tell you, but because some of them are not popular, that's why. Even Microsoft Form is there. So if you want your users to only securely always access, meaning someone outside cannot access it, only your users that are within your private access, then that's when you need to configure Microsoft traffic. It will not allow traffic within the Microsoft backbone network for you. But I didn't explain private access. That's why, because I have this slide, that's why I keep it for now. Private access is, you have your organization application. This is an application your organization has deployed. It can be on your on-premises server. It can be on the cloud somewhere, whether on AWS cloud, but it's an application, and you want it to be accessible privately to only your users within your company. You go ahead and deploy a private access profile. You deploy a private access profile on the Entra ID global access, secure access. Now, you will now plan the access scenarios. What are the scenarios? What are you trying to access? From what network are you accessing? Those are the scenarios. From what network? You only allow it from your remote network. And remember, you must have already configured your remote network, or you must have already configured your global VPN. That is your virtual global virtual network. That's VPN. Or I think Microsoft has another one, what is called not VPN. What do you call it? Express routes. But I'm not even looking for only express routes. I'm looking for that name. It's also a VPN, but gateway. not virtual network gateway, hub. Good. Too many things on my head. It's not coming. Let's go to services. You have to know it too. If all services, no, all services. Good. Networking. I don't know. It was gone from my head, but I wanted to virtual networks. No, the hybrid connection. Your hybrid connections. One. I know I said W, but I know it's one. So virtual one or virtual network gateways. These two are for accessing remote networks. Virtual network gateway and virtual one. I can't remember the virtual one, that's why. But express route is also for accessing, creating a direct express route from your on-premise or from your branch company to your cloud directly. These are all connections directly to your cloud, to your Azure network cloud. So this, I was trying to remember the virtual one. That's why. But forgive me for that. There are too many things on the head. So for private access, you can deploy your virtual network gateway or your virtual one or your express route. Now configure it now to based on these scenarios. Depending on your use case anyway, you now deploy connectors. Connectors, because this is used for mostly for your applications, you deploy connectors and install them on the server there, on the application server there, where the application is hosted. You deploy your connectors, and you create connectors on the Azure as well. They will now agents. They will now talk. The connectors will now be communicating with the agents. That will establish a secure communication between the connectors and the agents on the server and the application, so that whenever there's communication, whenever there is access to the application from any identity, it will not establish a valid session token. Those are the roles of agent and connector. So you deploy the connectors, and then you now configure your application. You do it, configure the application from the Entra ID global system, but you must start with the profile first. That's why you must start with deploying with the private access profile. Any question regarding this private access? No? No questions? All right. So I already explained remote networks, but I will still explain it quickly. As I said earlier, remote networks are networks that are outside your Microsoft cloud. It can be your on-premise network. It can be your AWS network. It can be any other cloud network, any other service or network outside network gateway that are outside to your Microsoft cloud or Entra ID. They are called remote networks, and you have to define it explicitly. Sorry, implicit. You have to implicitly define it within the remote networks on the Entra ID Global Secure Access. You have to go and add it there. Add the VPN, the ASN, the VPN public IP, the ASN, the keys. That will now allow the Microsoft Global Secure Access to know that, yes, you are the owner and you own that network gateway. That remote network gateway, you own it. So it will now establish a valid session or token for communication before you start deploying any other prerequisites or required configuration. So that's all about remote networks. You configure routing, you configure profile, apply profiles. Because you already created profile, you just apply the profiles. Profile will already exist. And what are the profiles? It can either be private access profile, Microsoft access profile, or internet access profiles. Those are the three traffic forwarding profiles. We already covered them in this previous slide. So already mentioned Global Secure Access Dashboard as one of the components of Global Secure Access, right? The dashboarding. The dashboarding will show you some alerts. It will track the health, and it will also show you connection, valid, active, even active connection, offline connection, most accessible application, most accessible region, meaning accessible region. I think that's the keyword they use there. Go through those documentation, you will see what I'm talking about. But if you have a question, ask in the WhatsApp group, please. But it has a dashboard that will track all the health and activities and alerting for you. That's what it's all about here. Global Secure Access has that dashboard for you. Very intuitive and real-time dashboard. If you don't have questions here, I will also proceed with to integration with conditional access policy. I mentioned that it can be integrated with conditional access policy. You already cover how to create conditional access policy in Entra ID. Now, those existing policies you created, you can now integrate them based on a certain condition. You can enforce the global secure access client to always be used by certain users, or yes, certain users. Maybe you have some remote workers working outside Europe or working outside US or Australia or Canada. Now you want to enforce that any user or any of our staff working remotely outside this country or outside this region must make use of GSA clients. You can enforce it by the use of conditional access policy. So you can integrate conditional access policy. You integrate it because your conditional access policy is independent of GSA, right? So you can integrate conditional access policy to do that for you. And then within conditional access policy or within Entra ID, there's what we call risk-based policy. This alert always pop up for me whenever any of our application or users are accessing and they are violating any of the risk-based access. Maybe they're accessing from outside the known region. Maybe that application is always been accessed from West Europe, but the next thing, or maybe it's been accessed from Germany, then there was now access from UK. It will trigger an alert. That's a risk-based alert. It will now trigger a risky sign-in alert or a risky user alert or risky. Now it will ask you to confirm whether that application or identity is compromised, or if it is confirmed safe. You now reach out, you investigate as a security engineer or admin. You investigate. If it is an application, you investigate with the application owner or users. You investigate the IP there. Take details, investigate the IP, investigate the location. If it is a user, call that user outside your teams or call him, ask him, are you the one accessing it? Is this your IP? Are you the one accessing this application at this time? If you say yes, then verify your IP for us so that we know it is you. Once you confirm it is valid, then go ahead and confirm safe. But at least it has done the right, it's a false positive, but it has done the right job in alerting you. That's what we call risk-based policy, because it is contextual, based on location, based on IP address, based on application access, meaning geographical positioning. So based on different risk factors or risk contexts, it will give you that alert. So you can also configure it on conditional access policy. I've been configuring that, is there. So once you configure your conditional access policy, integrate it to the GSA clients or the GSA, and boom, everything is working. And you can also configure it to be, it must come from a compliant network, meaning within the conditional access policy, there's what we call network. You can choose a network that no user should access this application outside this network. If you want to do an exception, go to exclude and do an exception. But if you don't want an exception within the conditional access policy, enforce it that it must come from this network. And then integrate the policy to your GSA, that's the global secure access. Boom. Anybody trying to access that application or whatever that profile outside that network is going to get blocked. Any questions so far, guys? We're almost to the end. Okay. So, like I said, it locks your activities, and it captures the metrics and traffics. For monitoring and audit purpose, it also keeps that, it allows that dashboarding allows you to monitor as well. So you can be able to review traffic logs. You can be able to troubleshoot any access issues, meaning some users are unable to access. Based on those logs and monitoring, you should be able to troubleshoot the access. Why is it that they cannot access? Is it that their global access is outdated? Is it that they're accessing from a certain IP or network outside the conditions? You troubleshoot based on those logs and monitoring dashboard. You'll be able to know where the issue is coming from. Then you also check, is their device that they're accessing these services or profile, is their device compliant? Because you can say that they can only access it from a Windows 11 that is up to date, updated. Now, if it is a work laptop but it's not updated, it will be showing non-compliant device, meaning their device is missing some critical security update or Windows update or whatever update. They have to update that. Once they update and they restart the laptop or the PC, and you ask them to access it, it will boom, it will go, because it is failing because one of the devices is non-compliant. It's coming from either a non-compliant network or a non-compliant device. But once that is fixed, you'll be able to access it. Now, what are the deployment use cases for Entra global secure access? It is meant to replace VPN. Yes, our common legacy VPNs that are always network centric, and they always assume that whoever is coming from my IP is the right person. Go ahead. Whoever is coming from my laptop that is named Haladu is right. Go ahead. No. It only goes ahead. It always assumes breach. It doesn't know you. It only allows a secure token, a secure valid session token. It doesn't know you. It only knows that this identity must come. This identity must come. Okay, I know this identity. When it comes, that identity will validate itself. Once the identity is validated with the identity ID, with the identity ID, every identity has an ID, right? Once that ID is verified, it will now ask that identity, okay, I know you. Now give me access to valid access token. If you are able to verify yourself, but you are unable to provide a valid access token, either an application or a device or a group or whatever, it will block it. It will tell you, yes, I know you, but you don't have a valid session token. Boom, block. That's what it does. It doesn't always assume, I know you, go ahead. Once you are in, it will still monitor you. Once your application is in or you are in, it will still monitor your activities and keep tracks, keep audit trail, so that for auditing purpose. So it's meant to replace VPN, yes. It's also meant to provide secure tunnel or to remote access to your applications, to your network, to your services. That's another use case for it. And it's also meant to protect your internal apps. That is for the private access. And it's also meant to protect your internet, meaning your users accessing internet will be protected as well if you deploy the internet access. So these 4 use cases are what is meant, the global secure access was meant to do. Now, I said I don't have access, but in our demo walkthrough, you just activate the global secure access. You assign profile, you create a certain profile. You can create one profile that is either the private access or the internet access or the Microsoft 365 access for the traffic forwarding. Now you install the client on your laptop or your PC, and then you validate access from that client access from the client from this installed client application on your laptop. You validate the access. That's what it. Once you validate the access, you come back here and click on valid. You see that a valid active this has been established. Boom, and that's just it. You can go ahead and configure some policies there, or integrate it to conditional access policy. But it is nothing more than that. Most organizations doesn't use it. They use the other sophisticated third-party VPN. Well, I'm not saying that Microsoft one is the best. Anyway, so guys, we have 7 minutes to go. These are just about how to troubleshoot client when the client is not working. Make sure you check if there is a valid session, or you remove the client and install a new one, or update it. Mostly that's about the issue, updates. Then profile assignment, when assigning profile or applying profile, always check if the profile has a valid integration when you create it. Check that profile exists. For conditional access blocks, check is there any break? Go to the conditional access or go to the what do you call it? That identity. On the identity, go to the audit sign-in logs or audit logs and check why is the conditional access blocking it. That's why you see why conditional access is blocking it. It will tell you what it is breaching or what is violating. Maybe it is a non-compliant device, so that's why conditional access is blocking it. Or it's a non-compliance network, or it's coming from a different network that conditional access policy doesn't know. Or yeah, it knows it, but why you usually access from Netherlands? Why are you not accessing from India or from Nigeria? So it will block. That's it. So you go ahead and unblock it, or confirm that it is safe, or exclude that particular identity so that it can access it. So those are some common troubleshooting tips when users cannot access it, or when you have facing issue with the global secure access configuration or access. Best practice is to always start with pilot users. I mentioned that already. Communicate changes to the whole organization or to the users. Before you push any changes, please communicate changes to those users so that they will not get blocked and their daily productivity will not be impacted. Then always monitor logs to see if there are some issues or who is accessing what is not supposed to access. But you can set it to get blocked as well anyway. So always monitor log for auditing purpose and for troubleshooting purpose as well. These are the 3 common best practices I can just list out for you. There are more, but let's go with this for now. So I mentioned about licensing. For you to configure it, you need P1 license or P2 license or Entra and suit license, Microsoft Entra and suit license. You need GSA role, that is Global Secure Access Admin role. If you're a global admin, fine. You don't, but if you are not a global admin, then the global admin need to assign you GSA role admin to you under the Entra ID roles. I think some people mentioned to me to come here, right, to admin and roles. So that's why you see global secure access. You need that permission. You need that particular built-in role to be assigned to you for you to be able to configure it. But if you're a global admin, you don't need it. Global, not global admin. No, not this one. Global secure admin, this one. You need this role. Global secure admin. But if you just want to read the logs, you can be assigned global secure access role, logs. This person will only be able to read logs, go through logs, analyze the logs. That's all he can do. But he's not going to be able to do any administrative task. But if you want to do administrative, meaning you want to configure it, then you need this global secure access admin. But if you are already a global admin, then you don't need any other roles if you're a global admin. All right, guys. Let's see. I think that's it, and it's just a recap of what we go through. We went through global secure Microsoft Entra global secure access, where we say it is an built based on the principle of zero trust, which is built on the identity pillar. So it is identity driven, not only network driven. It is identity driven, but you are managing network, but based on identity. Now it can protect your internet and private access to your applications. So it has internet and private access, where you can create internet profile and private access profile, or Microsoft access profile. You can integrate it with conditional access policy. We'll also discuss that. And we also mention remote networks, where it allows you to configure remote networks. Sorry. So it also allows you to configure remote networks. All right. Any questions so far, guys? We're open to questions. And if you still have questions from the previous session, which is the implementing access to Microsoft's Azure resources, you can combine your questions now and ask them now. For learning, you can search from Microsoft Learning Materials or from the deployment guides. Microsoft has deployment guide as well. You can also access Microsoft Community. I don't know why I don't have time to hyperlink all these sites. But before I share this slide, I'll see how I can hyperlink these sites to this slide. And I think that's the end of this session for today. Even though we went over with 30 minutes or 28 minutes, but we still went on break and we waited 5 minutes for others and we went on 5-minute break. So I think we just went over with 18 minutes or 8 minutes. But notwithstanding, thank you for your time. Since I think nobody has questions. So I'll just say thank you for your time and really appreciate you. We'll see you tomorrow with I think someone will be taking you tomorrow. So see you tomorrow and next week as well. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Haladu, for the wonderful section. Thank you very much. It's really a nice one. And Nigeria is even winning. So it's a win-win for us.
Good. I'm happy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
much. So
that
you pack your bags and go to Egypt. You can stop the recording so that this doesn't get recorded.
Okay. I've stopped the recording though.